Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today is the start of a reading vlog. I know it's been a little while since I've done one of these, so might be a little bit rusty and will probably be forgetting to record things when I should be recording things, but I'm going to be doing a reading vlog for my self-destructing books. So I realised at the end of April that it's been a year since I filmed my self-destructing books, which if you don't know the concept, it is where you take a pile of books and say that if you don't read these books within 12 months, then they need to be unhauled. You have had a year to read them, so in theory you should have read them if you still actually want to read them. And I realised that it has been nearly 12 months since I filmed my self-destructing books and I had only read one of them. So that meant I had 4 that I had not read. And these books, I've had them for way more than 12 months. I've had them for a long time, which is why I picked these ones, because they had sat for a very, very long time on my TBR and I still had not read them. This is going to be the chance for me to actually tackle these books before I unhaul them. Hopefully this will be a great success and I love all of the books and I actually decide to either keep them, well, hopefully keep them all, or if I don't like them, then unhaul them. I actually want to give them a chance. I want to give the books a chance. I don't want to just unhaul without giving them a chance. So we will be giving them a chance and attempting to read them. I have 4 books here that I'm going to be reading over the course of this vlog. Sort of spoilers, so if you didn't watch my self-destructing books video, but here they are. These are the 4 books that I'm going to be covering. We have Seven Devils by Elizabeth May and Laura Lamb, Book of Night by Holly Black, And I Darken by Kirsten White, and The Three-Body Problem by Six and Luke. So quite a mixture of things, quite a few different genres and I think writing styles and everything in here. But the thing they all have in common is that I've had them for a long time. Probably the one that I got the most recently is Book of Night, but I think that's still a couple of years old now. Still a couple of years old. And everything else I've had from way before then, way before then. I can't remember when these books were originally hauled, but a long time ago. We will tackle this. I am going to an event at the end of May with Elizabeth May in May. So if I like this, then I can get it signed there, and that was another incentive for me also picking up this book, because I knew that I was going to be seeing her as an author. Here is the stack, and I will talk through synopses as I get to them and as I read them. And I think I might try and make this more casual and put some more like life, just general life over the next couple of weeks in this. I don't know how long this is going to take to read these. Hopefully not that long. I'm hoping like under 2 weeks. That is the target for this vlog. Let me know now which ones you think I might like and what, like, where I'm going to fall with these. Which ones I might DNF, which ones I might love. I would love to know your like predictions for this, because I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like The Three-Body Problem could go either way, could go completely either way. And I Darken, I don't know if I'm going to feel like it's too young for me. Well, these two, I don't know if they're going to be too young for me now. This one's got mixed reviews, so who knows? Who knows? Future me will know, and you'll know probably in not very much time. But for me, it's going to be a couple of weeks. So I will get on with reading these, and I will update you when I read something. Hello, so I thought I would update you because I have been reading Book of Night, so the first of my self-destructing books, and I'm actually really glad that this book has not self-destructed because I'm actually really enjoying it. I was a bit surprised because there's so many mixed reviews, but I am really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying this so far. I am over halfway, so 174 pages in of 309, so positive so far. If you don't know, this book follows our main character Charlie, and it's set in like an equivalent of our world, so a modern world setting, but shadows can become alive and shadows can give you powers depending on your shadow. There are some things to do with this world building that have felt a little bit clunky to me, that do not quite make sense, or that I just feel as though I need more information on understanding how these shadows work, and like how your shadow can give you powers and like what is going on there. But I am enjoying it. Charlie is our main character. She's not like the most likable. She's a bit moody and I guess has gone through like different struggles throughout her life. So she isn't the most likable to read from, but I have found her definitely intriguing to read from. Prior to the start of this book, she had a career as someone that would like con people out of things or steal things for other people and then get paid for it. But at the beginning of the book she had decided that this was the end. She had finished that life. She was just going to be working in a bar, like living her life as normal, but she does end up getting back in the middle of things when she witnesses a murder on her way home from work one evening. I do find this magic a little bit confusing, but I am finding it interesting. I just think I would like a little bit more exposition on the world and the magic system, because I do find it a little bit weird that everything seems to be like a modern day world with our modern day things, and it is our world, but there is magic. And so in my head I'm like, well, if you'd had this shadow magic, in theory you would think that the world might have developed slightly differently. It's obviously impacting people, and people are able to do things that they wouldn't be able to do without it, so you would think it would have potentially changed some of the like landscape of the world, but it hasn't. It is literally our world. So maybe I would just want a bit more like explanation on that. But I am enjoying like the direction of things and seeing what Charlie is ending up getting herself in the middle of, and I do hope everything works out for her. So there are definitely things that intrigue me. I have some predictions about some of the things that are going on in this, some of the I think are going to be twists, but I think I might have predicted them. If not, then maybe I've not predicted them. But I am enjoying it. I do like the writing style and the way that it has been told. We do have scenes in the past as well, which sometimes I'm like, oh no, I want to be able to continue on in the present because it's left on a cliffhanger, but actually I am enjoying the scenes in the past as well. It's not like I'm not enjoying those. And I do like Holly Black's writing in this. I do find it compulsively readable. Yeah, it is definitely a compelling, addictive writing style. I knew that going in, that in theory I would like the writing style because I have read a few of Holly Black's books prior to this. So I read The Cruel Prince original trilogy. I haven't read the spin-off duology, but I did read the original trilogy, and I read quite a few years ago The Darkest Part of the Forest and The Coldest Girl in Cold Town. So I have read those many years ago, and I did love both of those books. I loved those, I think, more than the Cruel Prince trilogy, which is her most popular work. And maybe because that one's so popular, people went into this expecting things to be like The Cruel Prince, and it's really not like The Cruel Prince at all. But yeah, I am definitely enjoying this. I will be finishing this, so this has definitely been a success so far. I really hope the second half matches the first half in its energy. So far, so good. So it's good to be starting this off with a success and giving me like the positivity and energy to keep going with this thing, because with this challenge, with this like reading my self-destructing books, because if I was starting off on a low, then it might be a bit of a struggle to keep going, but it's yeah, positive so far. Okay, I'm back. I've just finished filming some videos, so now I've sort of like slumped down in the chair and just collapsed. But I will be wrapping up my thoughts on Book of Night by Holly Black because I have now finished this one. So Book of Night, I finished that earlier this week. So I actually really enjoyed this book. Oh, sorry. Tired. I actually really enjoyed this book. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this because I had seen so many mixed reviews for this, and I was like, am I gonna like this? Am I not gonna like it? Because it seemed as though when this was released, it had so much mixed media around it, and so I was like, oh dear, I've got a nice special edition. What happens if I don't like it? And I actually did enjoy this. I am pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this. It's not a favourite. It's not a 5-star, but I think I think it's a 4-star, definitely. That I was intrigued all the way through this. I was invested in our characters and everything that they were going through. I enjoyed the progression of the plot and where we got to and the unraveling of things. I liked how we had the multiple timelines going from the present day to the past as we sort of unearthed or figured things out. So I enjoyed the way that the story was told. I think it was engaging. I liked the magic system with I enjoyed the shadow magic and learning more about it. I think there could have been more on that, and I said that in my first clip that I would have liked more of an exposition on this world and like the setup of it and the way that is all done. I would have liked a little bit more information on that, and maybe we'll get that in the sequel. I think she's writing it right now, so hopefully we'll get some news and maybe a release date for early 2025, fingers crossed. It doesn't wrap up. There is like a satisfying ending until like right at the end where you get like a hook into the next one. There's definitely like a hook, but it's not a full-on cliffhanger. So yeah, I was satisfied with the way that all happened, unraveled, the way it all turned out. I guess the things that bring it down for me is that the setting in and of itself is not my favorite. Like, I prefer an epic fantasy compared to a real world fantasy. That this is our world. It does have all the modern sensibilities, not the modern things that you have in our world. It does have all of that. It does have, yeah, our main character works in a bar, she's trying to get money, so it does have lots of real world things with all these magical elements. So I think I do typically just prefer that fully fantastical setting, the full escape from our real world. That is something that is just a personal preference, that I don't really like seeing technology and things in my fantasy books. But I did enjoy this. I think it is a big step away from, I don't like the Cruel Prince series, which I read quite a few years ago. So I feel as though maybe some of the negative reviews came from people that purely read the Cruel Prince trilogy and just wanted more of that. Which she has given them. She's done that spin-off duology, which I have not read, but maybe they just wanted that, but more adult. And that this definitely is not that. It's not the Cruel Prince. It's not a Cruel Prince made older. I don't feel as though this felt that old, like there wasn't loads of mature content in it. I think our main characters were done well. There could have been more exposition done on the secondary characters to sort of flesh them out a bit more. I did guess, I think, one of the twists in this, one of the reveals, I was like, saw that coming, but that didn't really like hamper my enjoyment that I saw it coming. So I enjoyed it, and I would recommend this as well, especially if you enjoy more of that urban fantasy setting. Then I think this would work for you. It was a successful start to this vlog, and now my plan is to dive into Seven Devils and get into that one to make sure, I mean, I know I've got loads of time, but to make sure it's all done before I have the event with the author later on this month. So at least if I prioritise it, it will definitely be done way ahead of time. So that is my aim, is to get on with reading that one, and I will check in once I have an update on that. Hello, so it is Monday. I have just finished work and I thought I would update you on Seven Devils by Elizabeth May and Laura Lamb. So I started this on Saturday, Sunday, whatever day it was. Over the weekend I started it, and I'm feeling a bit lukewarm about it. I'm well, maybe a bit more cold, a bit more tepid. I got 82 pages in and I was like, I just don't know if I'm loving it or liking it, or like it. Everything feels fine. It feels absolutely fine, and that's the problem. It is just feeling fine, and I don't read for fine. I read for like love, enjoyment, being excited about the book, and I'm not feeling very excited about this, which is a bit sad because I am seeing Elizabeth May at the end of the month, and I would have liked to have been loving this book. And I think it is engaging, it is quite fast paced. There are some like intriguing things to it, but it does feel quite cliche in a lot of instances. It does have quite a lot of cliches to it, and I don't think I even really spoke about what this is about. It is a YA sci-fi. We've got two main characters that we're following right now. One called Eris, who faked her own death. She was like the princess in this space, not kingdom, but in this world. She faked her own death and left her old life behind, where she was like in training to become the ruler. And then our other main character is called Chloe, who is a resistance fighter, and Eris has joined up with the resistance to fight against the Empire, and these two get paired together. They had worked together before, but it had all like crumbled, and so they actually now hate each other and do not get along, but they are paired up on this mission to save the world. It feels quite cliche. I mean, I don't read lots of sci-fi, and I think I'm a little bit picky, or maybe more picky on my sci-fi, it's not a genre that I have read loads of, and it's not a genre that I do like it in the main, but I struggle with it, I think. that I am much more comfortable with my fantasy worlds, and I think I can imagine fantasy worlds better. That can be one of my big issues with sci-fi, is that I can't imagine it, or I really struggle to see it. I think that's happened a few times with sci-fi, that I cannot get a grasp of the world, and I think the same could be said here, that there is a lot of action and things are moving along, and I'm not disliking our characters, but I can't really see the world set up that well. And I think it's because, like, in fantasy, a lot of it is rooted in our, well, not necessarily in our world, but in worlds based on our world, or like a medieval version of our world. So I can be like, okay, I know roughly what to picture here. Whereas with sci-fi, there's very little grounding in what we know, and so the worlds are so fantastical because they're completely made up, and then my brain just goes, I don't really know what this looks like, and so I don't really know what's going on, and it gets confused. I don't know if anybody else has that with sci-fi. I really noticed it in particular with Leviathan Wakes. I really struggled. I think this one I struggle less because it's more of an action-packed pace, whereas Leviathan Wakes, I just could not picture that book at all. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to be continuing with this. I think I'm just going to leave it. That everything feels fine. Everything feels like it probably is going to be a 3-star, and I don't want 3 stars. I don't. I want 4 stars and above, because I feel as though 3 stars is like the worst rating can be, because you're so apathetic, so mediocre on it, that at least when something's bad, you can be like, this is bad and these are the reasons why. And with 4 stars and above, you're like, this is great, enjoying this. Whereas with 3 stars, it's just so fine. And that's the thing, like, I don't think this book has done anything necessarily wrong or bad, but I don't have any pull to pick it up. So I think this one is going to get part. I don't think I will be bringing this one to that signing, because I don't want it signed, and I will just pass it along. And at least this way I know that I don't need this anymore, and someone else can read it and hopefully love this, and it can go to a new loving home. So, and that is the purpose of this video, is that I am trying books that have been sat on my shelf for a long time, and we did start off with a success. So I think that maybe like put me in like a good frame of mind going into this. I was like, oh, I've got a success, they're all going to be successes, but there might not be. It might have just been that one-off. It might be that first book's a success, and then these next 3 are going to be DNFs. But that is the purpose of this, is that I am clearing out my shelves and getting rid of books that have been sat here for way too long. So yeah, that is the update. Luckily, the event that I'm going to is for Susan Dennard as well, who I have read multiple books for and really enjoyed. And I have also read Elizabeth May's other series, The Falconer, which I really enjoyed. I read it a long time ago, but at least I'm going with books from the 2 authors that are going to be there that I have really enjoyed. So it is not too much of a loss that I did not love this. So it's fine. Yeah, I have now taken a little pause on destructing books. I just feel like I needed a bit of a break from that like mindset of reading books that I potentially might not like, and just went into one that I knew I was going to like, and then I will get back to this self-destructing books, because I definitely don't want this to be drag on too long. So yeah, I picked up A Dangerous Collaboration by Deanna Raybourn, and this is what made me really know that I wasn't loving this, because I have flown through the first 140 pages of this. I'm sure I will hopefully fly through the second half of this, as I'm now coming up to halfway through, and then I can get back to whichever one I pick up next. I don't know. We shall see. You will find out imminently, and I will find out probably in a few days once I decide what I'm doing with this after this, and which one appeals to me most. Hello, I am back. So I took a little break from reading these self-destructing books. I think I just wanted to read books that I was really excited about, so I took a little pause to do that. So yeah, I just read some books that were just calling to me, that excited me, and I was like, I just feel like I want some good momentum. So I had a pause for a couple of weeks-ish, and now I'm back to read the rest of these books. So up to date, I mean, for you it's only been a second, for me I'm like, what have I done? So up to date, I've finished Book of Night, that one 4 stars, and then I started Seven Devils, got like, what, 80 pages in maybe, decided it was fine and I wasn't going to continue. I was just going to DNF that one. And in the past couple of weeks, it hasn't like really called to me. It hasn't been like shouting at me to come back to it. So I figure that that's a good decision, that I'm happy with just leaving it as is, and I don't need to think about it again. What do we have left? Currently we have left And I Darken and Three Body Problem. So I did start And I Darken, decided that I wasn't in the mood, which I don't know if that's like preemptive of anything, but I didn't get very far in. I literally, if I do, I will give it another try. We'll come back and do that one. But yesterday evening, I started The Three Body Problem. I am 75 pages in, and I'm really intrigued. So the first chapter, I was like, I don't know if I'm liking this. I don't know if this is for me. I don't think so. And then I got to the second chapter, I was like, hang on a minute. I'm intrigued now. I'm intrigued. So yeah, I am currently, point in time, page 75, I am intrigued. I wouldn't say I'm like hooked, but I'm interested. I'm definitely invested to keep going as of right now. I don't really know what to say about it as yet. First, the first bit of what I read, we were following this person during the Cultural Revolution in China. So we're following our main character Yi Wenji and following like some events where it looks as though she is rising up against the government. She gets taken off to this facility because her background is on physics and they need somebody with that background and that knowledge. And we see her just entering in, and that's like within the first 50 pages or something. And then we swap points of view to this guy called Wang Miao, who is also a scientist, and he has just been brought into like this police case study as they want to figure out why all these physicists are committing suicide, and they've invested him to infiltrate the like scientific community where there seems to be the correlation of physicists committing suicide. It's very early days, and I feel as though there's probably a much larger, bigger plot. There's going to be more going on than what I've just touched in the first like 75 pages, because I thought there were aliens in this and I haven't got to any aliens yet. But maybe that's spoilery. Maybe what I'd heard is a spoiler. I don't know. I haven't watched the TV show because I know that's come out. I am still a little bit nervous about this, despite enjoying those like first 75 pages, because I know this is hard sci-fi and I know that a lot of the physics stuff is probably going to go way over my head because I haven't done science since I was in school, and I know that these are meant to be quite thematic books, and I'm not a big thematic reader. I know I'm not. I'm just not. I much prefer reading for characters and plot, and themes are like one of the lowest down things that I read for. That I find them interesting, but they do not propel me through a story. Like I'm not compelled by them a lot of the time. I think there are instances where they work. Like I've enjoyed them in some short stories, but it's more like I enjoy themes in short stories rather than in full-length books. And we'll see how this continues, because as of right now, there is enough intriguingness within the plot that's keeping me going. I will update once I've read a bit more. Yeah, I hope I'm not jinxing myself, but so far so good with this one. Hi, so I thought I'd do a quick update on how I'm getting on with The Three Body Problem. I am 250 pages in, so I'm making progress, and hopefully I'll get this finished this weekend. It's Saturday morning right now, and it's a bank holiday weekend here, so I'm really hoping that I will get it done, whether that's Saturday, Sunday, whether that's including Monday, because tomorrow, well, be way after when you watch this, but as I'm filming this, tomorrow is my big bike ride day where I'm doing 100-kilometre bike ride around London. So I don't think I'll be doing much reading tomorrow, but hopefully today I'll be able to do a little bit of reading or get a good chunk done, and then have just a little bit to read either tomorrow or Monday. But it'll be done by the end of the bank holiday. That is the plan, and I really hope that is achieved, because I have less than 200 pages to go. I have mixed thoughts on this now. The first chapter, I was like, and then I feel as though I had like 50 to 75 pages where I was like, I'm into this, I'm enjoying this is intriguing. And then I feel as though I've had like moments where I'm like, I'm really invested. And then I'll have moments where I'm not invested. And it just keeps like changing, like chapter by chapter, I'm like going from I'm invested to I'm not invested. And it's so sporadic. And I'm like, can I just have some consistency here, please? Like, can you be consistently intriguing me, please? Because yeah, it's been very up and down. And I don't know if I can quite put a finger on like which chapters, which parts are not intriguing me, or which bits aren't quite working. Like, I think overall I am still intrigued, but I'm not loving it, because there are these moments where I'm like, So we'll see how the next 200 pages go, because obviously I still have 200. I've read 250, I've got 200 to go, or 175 to go. So I still have a good chunk to go to see how this wraps up. Right now, it's feeling like a 3-ish, 3.5 maybe. We'll see how it all like wraps up, and I'll update once I've read a bit more. But also, who's been watching Bridgerton? Because it makes me want to read some romance books, because I'm like, this is so cute. Yeah, obsessed. Yeah, I've watched all 4 episodes that are out. I want the next ones. So if you've been watching Bridgerton, which is a very different vibe to this, I feel like I want to just gush about it, because it's just so, like, fun. Hello from me and my new haircut. I am freshly trimmed. It's been a good few months, way too long. It's been since August. I really needed it. So fresh new cut, fresh new look for June. That's been on the cards today. Yesterday I did my big bike ride, which I think I've spoken about, and I survived, and my whole body hurts. Everything aches, but I did it. I survived 100 kilometers and a little bit. So that is done. Exercise achievement of the year, tick. Yeah, it's been quite a stationary day today, apart from this haircut. And then this evening I actually have the Elizabeth May Susan Donald event at Waterstones that I'm going to, so I do need to like get myself a bit more active, but for right now we can go back to being stationary. So I finished The 3-Body Problem this morning, and I have quite mixed thoughts on this. I think you saw from the first clip where I was quite enjoying it to begin with. Then the second clip I was about like, it's gone a bit downhill, mixed bag, and that's how I'd say it concluded. Like, there were moments in this that I was really enjoying. I think particularly towards the beginning, where we get like introduced into the Chinese Cultural Revolution setting, and then we jump forward in time and we're confronted with our main character who is seeing these like numbers going across his vision, and I was like, oh, this is very intriguing, like what's this counting down to? And I found that all very intriguing, and then it just sort of seemed to like meander. Yeah, there was a lot of meandering, and I think because of all that meandering it sort of lost my interest a little bit as it went along. And I think it's definitely got some interesting like ideas to it, but that's not like, I don't think it's strong enough for me to keep going with the series. I'd be interested to hear what people who have read the series say, how it like compares book 1 to book 2, because I was looking at some reviews and people seem to say that they were quite different, but I don't feel compelled currently to go out and buy book 2. That although this doesn't end in like the most satisfying way, I'm quite happy to just leave this and maybe look up spoilers for the rest of the series and see how it all concludes, which is not something I really like doing. Like, I feel intrigued enough that I want to know, but I don't feel intrigued enough that I want to continue to read the books. And I don't think it was to do with like the writing style necessarily that makes me feel this way, because obviously it is a translation, so there is like that element that gets added to this, and I can't say if I think it's a good or bad translation. I do quite like how Ken Liu put in like footnotes to explain some of the terms that would not have been like known to us as a Western society, so I think that was well done. And there were definitely some interesting ideas to it, but I think a lot of the science went a bit over my head, and so maybe if I am more into the science, then it might have intrigued me more, or like the understanding of it a bit more, and maybe that's why I enjoyed the beginning a bit more, because it was less science focused, and then it became more and more sciencey as it went on. Interesting ideas, but I don't think it's the book for me. But I'm glad I read it. One of those, like, I'm glad I read this, I'm glad I gave it a try, but I think we'll just leave it there. And now we are coming to the end of May, and I have not read And I Darken, and I don't feel compelled to read it. I don't feel in the mood to read this book. Must have picked it up at some point earlier in the month, and I got to page 20, and I haven't felt compelled to pick it up again. And I think based on this like experiment being, I've had 12 months to read these books. I've had all month to read these books, and I have given like 3 of them a shot. The biggest success being Book of Night, which is the one I read first actually. I don't think I'm going to read this. I don't think I am going to read this. There is nothing compelling me to pick this up. There are so many other books that I want to read more than this. So why should I be like forcing myself to read this one when I'm not feeling it? I've had this book for, I don't even know how many years. Before COVID, I got this book. I've had it for that many years. It's been on this project. I've been trying to target the books this month, and I think I've done really well, and I've actually think this is good for me to try and target some of these old books on my TBR. But this one, I just don't think it's going to happen. It was on a try tag unhaul and that saved it, but I still don't feel compelled to read it. And I think even if I do read it, would I then pick up the rest of the series? I don't know. So I think this one it's just past its time. It is just past its time, and I think we'll just leave it. And then if I am ever compelled to pick it up again in the future, I'm sure I'll be able to pick up a copy. It's not like this is a nice copy. It's not like it's from a charity shop. It's beaten up. Like it's not as though this was a good copy to begin with. I don't think it's that much of a loss for me to let it go. Hello, so I am now here to wrap up this vlog, end it, close it all out. Since that last clip, I did go to that author signing for Elizabeth May and Susan Dennard. It was really fun. I have just put a clip in of that and my little trip into the centre of London for that. I think it was really interesting hearing from authors that have been writing for quite a while and how their experience has changed over the past 10, 15 years and being in this industry and how it has evolved. So I did find that really interesting. So they were both like, absolutely lovely. And weirdly enough, I came out of that event and looked at like what other events were coming up over the next few months and saw that there was one with, I think it was like Tasha Suri and Andrea Stewart and another author who I have not read from. And so I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Signed up for it. It's coming up in July. Maybe I'll put it here. And then the next day I got an ARC through for The Gods Below by Andrea Stewart. And I was like, I've literally just signed up for her event that's coming up in July. This comes out in September, but I feel as though I now have to read this. I now have to read this, like, because it's arrived. And it just seems so fortuitous. Anyway, that was my topic of like Waterstones events. I feel as though I've talked about going to this event quite a bit throughout this vlog, so it feels as though it's come, not quite full circle, it's come to like the conclusion with me actually going to that Waterstones event. Right, so wrapping up the books, here they are, my self-destructing TBR plus Invictus, which I read in October and have already DNF'd and unhauled. So we had some hits and misses here, more misses than hits. So of the 5 books that I had on my self-destruction TBR, there was Invictus, which I DNF'd ahead of this video, and then we have these 4 books. So the biggest success was the first book that I read, which was Book of Night by Holly Black, which I did actually really enjoy, and this one has been like the highlight of the vlog, I would say, for me. We started on a high, unfortunately we didn't end on one, but here we are. So Book of Night, my 4 stars, will be continuing with the series. This book has been saved, it is staying on the shelves, it is safe. And then the other 3, I think we'll be getting unhauled. The 3-Body Problem I did read to completion, as you've seen, and it's probably like a 3-star. I don't anticipate I'll be continuing on with the series unless there's like those comments telling me to and saying why I should continue on with the series. I'm very happy I read it. I think I said that in my clip. I'm very happy I read this though, and I know where I stand now, and I feel like it was a good thing to read this. And then these 2, which I made some sort of dent in and then decided that I wasn't going to be continuing on with them and that I didn't need them and they can move along. So I got about 100 or just under 100 pages into 7 Devils, decided that was that. I didn't need to continue on. It wasn't shouting out to me. And then I didn't get very far at all through And I Darken, only like 20 pages, but this one has self-destructed. It has had way too long on the shelves and it hasn't been read. It hasn't been read. So it has gone the other way. It hasn't been read, it hasn't been DNF'd, it has self-destructed pretty much. Sorry if you really wanted to hear my thoughts on this one or if you absolutely love this one. There we go. There are 4 books that have gone through the process of self-destructing, or not self-destructing in the Book of Night's case. I am very happy that I've done this process. At the beginning of it, I was a bit like, oh no, what have you got yourself into? You're having to read these books, you put the timeline on yourself. But actually, without this, these probably would have just kept sitting. Honestly, these probably would have just kept sitting on the TBR, and other books would have come along that would have continued to have got more priority over them because I'd have been more excited about reading them. And it would have just continued on in this cycle of me not reading these books because they never got to the top of the TBR pile. They would just continuously be hidden at the back of the shelf on the hidden row, and not read. So actually I am very happy with this experiment, that it has got me to prioritise these. So the next video after this will be my May wrap up, but the video after that will be the next round of self-destructing books, because I will be doing this again, but hopefully the next time I will be reading them more gradually throughout the year, instead of getting to this point and having to read them all in a month. Look out for that coming soon. Let me know your thoughts on any of these books if you have read them, and on this concept if you have done it yourself, because I would encourage it, recommend it. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!